In the beginning of episode 2, Nana was seen crying, regretting the incident involving Rin and Nomura kissing. Suddenly, Mary approached her from the door and inquired about Rin's whereabouts. Mary seemed to mock Rin for losing to Nomura in their previous fight. She even mentioned that she lost her first kiss to him. Mary then stated that she would take care of the new transfer student, Nomura, herself. Choka chimed in, suggesting that Mary need not bother because she would handle it. Choka claimed that her strength was almost on par with the Supreme Five Swords. She planned to restore the honor of the Supreme Five Swords, which had been tarnished by Rin's defeat. Nono disagreed with Choka's statement as she didn't want Choka to interfere with her revenge mission. At the same time elsewhere, Nomura was seen in a bathhouse with Masakudera, nursing some bruises on his leg from the fight against Rin. He told Masakudera that if he hadn't finished the fight quickly, it would have been dangerous due to his injured leg affecting his footing. Masakudera was impressed by how Nomura could perform special moves despite his condition. Nomura then boasted about his ability to endure any condition and position, reflecting on the intense training that had consumed much of his life. Nomura then asked Masakudera how to obtain permission to leave the school grounds. Masakudera explained that the exit permit could only be obtained from the leader of the Supreme Five Swords, Rin. Hearing this, Nomura felt pessimistic, given his unfavorable encounter with Rin the previous day. Masakudera continued, stating that Nomura needed to collect 5 stamps from all the members of the Supreme Five Swords to use the exit permit. Obtaining these stamps would be a difficult task, and it would be almost impossible without offering something valuable. Masakudera then revealed a secret. Nomura could obtain anything through the black market, albeit at a high cost. Curious, Masakudera asked Nomura what important item he wanted. Nomura answered, a box of cakes. The next morning, Nomura stood in the classroom, holding the box of cakes. He believed that this gesture might help mend relationships. However, all the female students in the class looked at him skeptically, fearing that unwanted events might befall them, similar to what had happened with Rin. When Nomura asked about Rin's current whereabouts, only Miji was willing to respond. It turned out that Rin was currently bedridden with a fever due to the shock from the previous day, and she was resting. Nomura then inquired with Masakudera about the location of the girls' dormitory. Masakudera informed him that it was situated to the southeast of the school. The scene then shifted to a flashback, showing a young Rin wearing a mask, walking alongside her mother. That's what Rin remembered before waking up. A mask and a thermometer were on her bedside table. Rin then sat down to check her body temperature, and the thermometer displayed 37.5 degrees Celsius. Rin was surprised because it turned out that aside from the shock from the previous fight, she was also running a fever. This, of course, made her very angry and resentful towards Nomura. Rin then recalled her first kiss with Nomura from the day before, imagining it, causing her cheeks to turn red with embarrassment. She wanted to try to forget it. She was also very angry with Nomura because his response when she kissed him was silence, and he even jumped back. In her heart, Rin actually wanted Nomura to talk about her or make her his own. It was her first kiss, and she couldn't stop thinking about it. Rin then sensed that something was amiss. She put on her mask and grabbed her sword, then stood guard in front of her bedroom door. But suddenly, Nomura appeared at the window and greeted her. Reflexively, Rin wanted to fight Nomura, but he stopped her and suggested that it would be better not to push herself because he knew she had a fever. Nomura also suddenly pressed his forehead against Rin's to make sure she really had a fever. This made Rin's face turn even redder, and her body temperature rose. Nomura said he came to visit her. He also commented on Rin's room, noting that it looked very luxurious, quite different from the boys' dormitory. Nomura then handed over a box of cakes he had brought with him, which made Rin feel both embarrassed and happy. She accepted the gift. Seeing Rin's face with only half of her mask on, Nomura remarked that she had a cute face. He couldn't see it the previous day because her face was covered by the mask. Nomura also said that maybe their kiss from yesterday was lucky for him. Rin, who had fallen for Nomura, replied, "Well, thank goodness for that." Not wanting Nomura to know her true feelings, she suggested that he should be the one grateful. Nomura also asked Rin to remove her mask now, but she refused, saying that without it, she would be too embarrassed to face him. Without further ado, Nomura asked Rin for permission to leave. Rin then explained that the exit permit was only for exemplary students to maintain the school's reputation. But Nomura argued that when going out for a walk, there was no need to wear the school uniform. Seeing Nomura's gaze, Rin jokingly asked if he just wanted to see her in regular clothes. Nomura admitted to his curiosity, and Rin asked if this meant that Nomura wanted to go out with her. With a blush on her face, Rin finally handed over the permit and said that there was an exception for Nomura. Overjoyed, Nomura then asked if he could pay for the permit with a kiss. Rin was taken aback, her face turned red, her body temperature rose again, and she fainted. Seeing Rin nearly falling, Nomura tried to catch her, but he only managed to grab her clothes, causing a button on her dress to come undone, revealing a bit of her chest. At the same time, Nano entered Rin's room with a bowl of porridge, which he saw infuriated her because it looked as if Nomura was undressing Rin and engaging in inappropriate behavior. Rin pressed the emergency button, triggering an alarm and activating all security systems. Panicked, Nomura quickly ran for his life. While running in the school courtyard, Nomura was intercepted by a small blonde-haired girl with a whip named Chuka Uberagasaki. Nomura was curious about the U in her name. Nono, who had also arrived, explained that her full name was Uberagasaki, and Choka decided to separate her name as she pleased. Nono mentioned that Choka acted as if she were Italian, but she was originally Japanese. Choka and Nono both claimed to be the closest to the Supreme Five Swords and engaged in a continuous argument and debate about who was the strongest. Choka made the first move by attacking Nomura with her whip. Not wanting to be left out, Nono joined in and advised Choka not to interfere with her. Ultimately, they both attacked Nomura together. Reluctantly, Nomura had to face the two girls, so he put on his trusted gloves. All the students in the vicinity watched the battle. From the rooftop, Satori observed their fight. Nono appeared to be using the same sword technique as Rin. Nomura thought they might be from the same school. While focused on Rin, Choka's whip managed to injure Nomura. Choka laughed triumphantly and explained that she and Nono were subordinates of the Supreme Five Swords and ranked 2 levels below them. This allowed them to carry out executions. Choka continued, mentioning a person with significant achievements who upheld justice, an empress who stood above the Supreme Five Swords. Hearing this, Nomura was puzzled, as it appeared there was someone with a higher rank than the Supreme Five Swords. Nono explained that this person was also a transfer student, just like Nomura, and an incredibly strong girl in the school. Choka and Nono continued their joint attack on Nomura. Nomura skillfully managed to grab Nono's hand just as she was about to strike him. He then directed Nono's hand towards the end of Choka's whip, causing the whip to entangle Nono's hand. Nomura remarked that the whip couldn't be considered a real weapon and was quite ineffective in group fights. He also mentioned that the monotonous combination of Choka and Nono's attacks was easily predictable. Nomura successfully touched Nono's body and, using his spirit bullet, sent her flying, causing her to collide with Choka, and they both fell. Nomura approached them, looming over the helpless pair, and threatened to teach them some manners befitting adults. Seeing Nomura approaching, Nana was filled with fear, having witnessed his inappropriate behavior with Rin, including the kiss. There was nothing Nono could do at that moment, and tears welled up in her eyes. Choka tried to comfort Nono and prevent her from crying, but deep down, Choka was also terrified. Eventually, both of them ended up crying together. All the female students who witnessed the scene had a negative impression of Nomura and considered him a pervert. From the rooftop, Satori, who had been observing the battle from the beginning, finally saw Nomura's spirit bullet technique for herself. Satori mentioned that even with her sharp eyes, she couldn't understand the secret behind Nomura's spirit bullet technique. She speculated that Tsukibyo, with her exceptional hearing abilities, might have insights into it. Satori then predicted that because Nomura had done something to Choka, her sister Mary would not stay silent. After this, Nomura was sure to face Mary. In the evening, as Nomura was heading home, he encountered Rin, who was carrying the exit permit with her stamp on it. Rin stated that she had made a promise and wouldn't break it. Nomura happily accepted the permit and bid Rin farewell, wishing her a speedy recovery to return to class. Once Nomura had left, Miji and Sasa ran up to Rin and informed her of something that visibly angered her. At night, Choka and Mary were in the bathroom. In her thoughts, Mary vowed to teach Nomura a lesson for daring to do something to her adorable little sister. The following morning, Nomura went to school as usual, but when he opened the classroom door, he was met by an angry-looking Rin. All the female students in the classroom cast fearful and disgusted glances at Nomura. Rin drew her sword and pointed it at Nomura, declaring that she would be the one to execute him. Nomura was understandably shocked and had no idea what was really happening. Episode 2 came to a close.